Hey, what's going on, guys? Another knife review. Today we're looking at two different knives in the same review, and the reason I chose to do this is because I kind of want to do a head-to-head to show the differences between them. These are two assisted opening OTF knives. They are not automatic, although they appear to be automatic. They have that same OTF feel that everyone wants, but they're legal in more places, which I think is going to make it very popular. On the left here we have the SCHOTF6, and on the right the SCHOTF5. Now the 6 is a little bit bigger, a little bit more expensive. The 5 a little bit smaller. I mean, the blade's small, the whole knife is smaller, and it's cheaper. But they are really two different designs. And both of these knives come in a bunch of different flavors. And I give you the air quotes there because, you know, basically the same looking knife, but slightly different blade styles. Like, for example, the 6 has a double-edged knife. They also have a version with a single edge. Both knives come with a partially serrated or plain edge, so there's different versions of the same knives, as well as other assisted opening OTF knives from Schrade. So because even though they're completely different in the looks, their functionality is very similar, and the internals are identical. So for that reason, I wanted to kind of compare them in the same video. So first of all, the boxes, your standard new Schrade box. The only difference is that these ones say caution, read instructions before operating, because these are a little bit more complicated than just your average Foley knife, all right? If you were to just take this out of the box and not know what to do, you do have the potential of cutting yourself. On both these knives, the pocket clips actually say caution, blade ejects, all right? And there's an arrow. All right, that again to remind you that they do come out of the front of the knife and to be super careful. So before I really get into a lot about these knives, I want to just show you how they function, and then I'll give you some specs, and then I can get into comparing them. So first off, these are assisted opening OTF knives, so they open out the front, but not by a specific button or lever or mechanism. Basically, what you're doing is you're manually pushing this this knob here, okay, which is attached to the blade, which slides on a track. So it is assisted, and it goes around the definition of regular automatic knife. So it opens up this style of knife to a lot more people in a lot more parts of the country. As far as other countries, I can't really speak to specific country laws. I mean, it's so foreign to me, literally, no pun intended, but yeah, there's so many different countries out there, and I can't possibly follow all of them. It's hard enough just following all the stuff in the States. But to the best of my knowledge, this is legal in all 50 US states. All right, it functions and looks like an OTF knife, but it's not. It's not considered an automatic knife, okay, even though it has that look to it. The other one works in a very similar fashion, okay? They both have locks on them, which I'll talk more about in a minute. But the other one also opens like that, so it looks like, an OTF knife, but it is not. The first one here, the SCHOTF6, has a 3.6 inch blade, AUS 8. This one happens to be sharpened on both sides, okay? So it is completely sharpened. It might be hard to tell just by looking at the design. It doesn't look like a blade shape that would be sharpened in the spine, but it is in fact sharpened all the way throughout. Okay, so be very careful. It is very sharp, but it's deceiving, because if you were to like try to slice paper, it doesn't seem like it's sharp at all, and that's because it has such an abrupt grind. It's so fat on the back end that it doesn't excel in something like slicing a piece of paper. Both these knives did come very sharp out of the box. They're both AUS 8 stainless blades. By design here, the sharpened back on here, it's not very noticeable, put it that way. And at times I did forget about it, and even just in handling it, I almost cut myself. So just be very aware of that. And although this opens up this knife to be legal in a lot of different places, because the automatic sense of the knife being double-edged at the same time restricts this knife to be in a lot of different areas. So be aware of that. If you're interested in this particular knife, keep in mind that having a fully double-edged knife will restrict where you can have this in the US as well. And that's why I mentioned that this exact same handle design, the same type of knife, is also available in a single-edge version, which I would much more recommend for more people. I mean, I think the original purpose of this, and reason behind it, is to legally be able to have an OTF style knife. But in having both edges sharpened, it doesn't limit you, so just be careful of that stuff. But anyway, 3.6 inches on that AUS 8 blade. The handle is 5.5 inches, 9.1 inches overall, and 6.08 ounces. Aluminum frame with rubber inserts on here. It's a very hard rubber. If I use my nail, I kind of make an indentation on it, but it is very stiff. It just gives you a little something as far as the feel of it. Just having, it's not even really give, it's just the overall texture of it. All right, so it's actually an overlay. So you have aluminum handles with a hard rubber overlay on these. 6.8 ounces. It is a fairly large knife and chunky and bulky. I'm actually surprised that they're not heavier than they actually are. In carrying these, very wieldy. I would say both of these, though, the pocket clips are very stiff, so keep that in mind. What makes this nice is that they're both on flat parts of the handle. Even though this one's textured, it's not heavily textured. So I don't have any problems taking it out of the pocket, but they are very stiff in using these, okay? So this one in particular, if you're using or wearing denim pants or something, might be a little bit harder to pull out. But they both have deep carry clips by design. You can see they come almost to the very back of the frames here. They both have glass breakers. Let me close this one here. Both have glass breakers on them. This is a more traditional glass breaker or skull crusher, whatever you may call this, intimidator, whatever it be. Basically, all the force of this knife coming down in a strike comes to that one point, okay? So very good for breaking glass. In this case, you have a non-traditional design. It's very wide, but still comes to a solid point. So in slamming down, for to use this and slam down into something like a window, all that energy is exerted onto that one little point and it will function as a glass breaker. So interesting in seeing the differences between them. But anyway, the specs on the SCHOTF5 is, it is a smaller knife. The blade is 3.2 inches, that same AUS 8. Both of these blades have a kind of a like a grayish finish on here. I don't really want to say, it looks like a finish on top. The color makes it kind of look a little bit sandblasted or bead blasted, but it seems more of a coating rather than a finish. So I don't know for sure which one it is, but that's basically the look you're getting on these. The SCHOTF5 is a smaller blade, and this is single edged, okay? Very simple stiletto style blade with a large swedge, although it's not sharpened at all on the back here. 5.3 inches on the handle, or the closed length on this, and 8.5 inches overall when open. This one weighs 4.96 ounces, so although it's smaller and is lighter than the other one, it's not by much. So what I really like about these, again, is this being an OTF style knife, but being more versatile on the market, and a lot more people being able to legally have these and carry them and use them. As far as between the two, I like the SCHOTF6. Overall, I find it to be just a little bit better quality, and that's with everything. The spring tension, how smooth it is, it's just slightly better in quality than the other one. As far as where to find knives like this, Blade Ops is the one place I found some of the cheapest prices. The full MSRP on this one is $74.66. They sell for $44.95. And on the SCHOTF5, Blade Ops sells this for $36.95, as opposed to the full almost $60 you'll pay some other places. Even though they function in a similar fashion, obviously you can see the designs are different. This one looks like it's a little bit more ergonomic. It is larger, okay? Fills the hand out a little bit more. And even though there's all kinds of little circles and stuff and grooves in here, overall it has a very smooth feel to it. Okay, very, very smooth. This one has a texturing all throughout. If you like a lot of jimping and texture and stuff like that, you may prefer this one. It does feel a little more grippy overall, but it's also a more squared off design. You notice both of these knives have the blade that's off center. Okay, the blade's towards the presentation side or the right scale, all right, as opposed to being centered. They function flawlessly. The SCHOTF5 here, you can see the safety is up here. So when the safety is off, you'll see the red button. When the safety is on, well, let me close this first to show you. Okay, when the safety is off, you'll see the red circle there. When it's on, this will not open. So if you're fearful of carrying this in the pocket and bumping that, no worries at all. The safety does function. All right, turn the safety off. In order to use this, you'll see that there's a slant on both sides. You're going to push forward, just a little bit of tension, and it catches the spring on the inside, shoots forward, and locks into place, okay? This blade has a little bit of blade play, as all OTFs do. They both do, but it's very, very minimal. There's not a whole bunch in there. Once open, that switch, I guess we can call it, or button, actually acts like a thumb ramp. Okay, so if you're using this knife, you can use the bottom portion as a thumb ramp. It's very secure in your hand. It's not going to slide or slip anywhere. To release the blade, you push this up. Okay, you see it kind of unlocks the blade from the knife, so it freely moves on that track. And as you pull down, you'll feel that spring tension start to build. All right, when it shoots open, it pushes forward and kind of locks into place. That's why you have to use this lock. All right, so this unlocks it by pushing forward. You bring it back, and it'll kind of click in place in the bottom. All right, super easy to use. You can use both these knives one-handed. Start from back here, all right, then unlock it. You have to kind of bring your grip all the way down so that your thumb will bring it all the way back to a lock position. All right, I see a lot of people using these in a reverse grip to open them. You hold it in reverse grip, it's a lot easier. Just push down on there and it'll open and lock. Then you can, of course, change your grip if you need to. But they are functional with using one hand. The SCHOTF6, even though being larger, functions in a very similar fashion, although the lock is down here. Okay, it's a little bit more subdued. Obviously, you can see it's unlocked here. You see the red, and then, or excuse me, the safety is off right now, or excuse me, it's on right now and off when you see the red. Just like pretty much anything else, guns, knives, the safety's off, you'll see the red. It just means caution. All right, but I do like that the lock is kind of hidden within this circle pattern. You really don't see that at all, especially when it's off, or excuse me, when it's on. So I'll take the safety off here. The release is on top here, as opposed to the 5, where it's a separate, sliding part. On top here, it's on the frame. This is corner piece. It actually rocks forward. Okay, that's what's going to unlock that blade. Okay, so a little bit of pressure forward, shoots open. All right, it's locked up nice. You're going to push down again on this corner piece. That is going to release your blade. All right, so with this knife and this design, your features and your functions on this knife are a little bit more subdued. It's not just clearly switches, or buttons. All right, smoother spring, smoother action on the 6. One note is that when I first got this, I didn't have a lockup 100%. Sometimes it wouldn't lock up all the way. It would actually go to like here because it wouldn't overcome that lock, and I'd have to push it to lock it in. That is completely user error. The problem I was having is when I was opening this, I was pushing forward hard with my thumb. Don't do that, okay? It's actually creating a little bit of drag on that button. For this to function 100% of the time, all you have to do is nudge that button just a little bit forward, okay? Don't ride with that button. Just a little bit forward, shoots out, locks up every single time. Again, to release it, push that corner. You can use this one-handed. It's even easier, even though it's larger, it's easier to use than the 5 one-handed, just because of how the spring tension is and how smooth it is. All right, so unlock it up top here. You see it releases off the track, bring it back, locks in, and then you can put the safety back on. Between the two, I do like this one a little bit better. The 5, the handle to blade ratio is, you have a very small blade and a lot of handle, basically. So let me take the safety off, open this so I can show you. Again, 3.2-inch blade. Love the design on here, but just, small blade, lots of handle. It's not that big of a deal though, especially when it's in hand. It looks proportionate, doesn't look weird or anything like that. I just do happen to prefer the 6 for the overall design, the feel, and the quality. Just feels a little bit better. So pop that safety off, open it, and it's locked. When you're using either one of these, if you put the safety back on while it's open, it doesn't affect the knife. It doesn't, in other words, lock that knife open. All it does is prohibit the blade from coming all the way down, okay? That's the same on both of these. If you put that safety back on, it does not, all it does is prevents the knife from locking, okay? So don't do that. Sometimes on automatics, you can put the safety back on and it'll, kind of lock the lock. It doesn't work with either one of these, just by design. So Anyway, that is my review on both the SCHOTF5 and the SCHOTF6. Both these knives are very cool, both coming in at under 50 bucks. They're novelty knives. You can use them. The AUS 8 blades are functional, but this is definitely a knife, in my opinion, that you're going to be playing with a lot more and you're going to be using. You can use these. I have not used these really hard. It's just been for light duty. Just by its nature, OTFs, I don't use them very hard. But maybe in the future, if there's a lot of requests and stuff, I'll do some abuse tests on these and see what these can really take before they start breaking or having problems. So, but for now, I think it's a very cool knife. There's multiple places you can get it online, but again, I found Blade Ops to be the cheapest for these particular knives. So, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.